Even though Teresa is the elder here, I don't want to call her an elder, but even though she is, I like that it is John's maturity that really is gonna make or break this relationship. Hello, everybody. We have a new Netflix dating show to talk about now that Love is Blind is coming to an end. It's basically Age is Blind, as people have been calling it, where they go into this not knowing each other's real ages and try and couple up. And then when they find out each other's real ages, see if they want to stay together. I do enjoy this concept way more than Love is Blind. And I also want to say before I get started, I'm recording in a room that sometimes has an echo, so I hope it's not too bad in this video. Apologies if it is, but on the other side where I usually record, there's construction. So with Love is Blind, I don't like the concept because in real life it's not realistic. Like, yeah, people go on blind dates, but even with the blind date, as soon as that date starts, you get to see that person and you talk and you get to see if you want to date that person. So Love is Blind is such an out there concept for me. And most seasons I've watched, love is in fact not blind. But with this whole age thing, and people say age is just a number, it is much more realistic. It is something we deal with in dating. I have dealt with it on both sides of the spectrum. I'm not a scientist. I don't know the biology behind why men like younger women, but younger women tend to like older men too. There is some sort of biology in that. So, yes, I've had relationships with women that are younger than me. I vibe a lot with women that are younger than me. However, I have also dated women that are older than me. At one point, I dated a woman that was 13 years older than me at the time. She was the one robbing the cradle in that situation. So it does happen. And the attraction was still there. And not to toot my own horn, she was a French model at one point. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. But I'm so stupid. So with this concept, it's more of a thing that does happen in the real world. And there are questions on both ends. If the man is older, as one of the girls put it in this episode, if you are trying to hit on a younger girl in like a bar type situation, you might actually be coming off as kind of like predatory, kind of. I believe it was Pfeiffer who said that meeting older men at bars, they come off as skeevy or predatory sometimes. But she also talked about the opposite end where an older man can think that she is just looking for money. So in this situation, they don't have to worry about the outside things like that because that is the whole concept of this show. I do, in fact, love the concept, and so far, so good. I don't love that it's hosted by Nick Viall. This guy has some of the worst takes on Love Island USA that you can find, and I'll probably be dragging his takes come summertime when Love Island USA is airing. But not only is he terrible with his takes on most dating shows, he's a worse host. He sounded so robotic during the hosting of this show. Just looked like he was reading off of a cue card the entire time. I almost didn't watch the show because he was the host. I'm not gonna lie. Even though I like the concept, I almost didn't watch it because he was the host. He is one of my least favorite fellow Nicks out there. But luckily, we don't have to talk about him a lot. We will be talking about some of the people participating in this concept. And I think we probably have to start with John and Theresa because they were the main people this season that are kind of making this concept come to life. This is definitely the couple that the show has been promoting since before it aired. When I saw a trailer for this show, they were the main people in this trailer. So I think they are our couple this season getting the edit to show us that this concept can in fact work. And I think it works because John is very open minded. We found out his age at the end, which we'll talk about. I thought he was probably around that age, but I thought maybe a little older, maybe a little more around 30, because he does come off as mature for a guy his age and dating for the right reasons. I like that he talked about how he was dating all these women, not dating younger women, not dating older women, just dating women, trying to find a connection, which is what you're supposed to do when you are dating. Teresa, meanwhile, is clearly an older woman. There are some people on this show, like you can gauge their ages. You can gauge if they're in their around their 30s, around their 40s, around their 50s. Teresa looks around her 50s. And I thought John looked around 30. And I was pretty close to John's age. I don't think they revealed her age yet. I don't know if they've revealed ages outside of the show. I'm just going by this show, just watching it, not reading any spoilers, not reading any promotion. I want to see it play out with their edit. So I don't know anyone's ages because they're not telling us the ages with this concept. I think that is supposed to be one of the big reveals to us while watching the show. But Teresa has 3 kids and her oldest is 29. And so obviously she has to be around 50 or older. But I like that they are vibing. I like that they are already kind of proving this concept to be a more positive concept and a funner concept to watch because you can actually see them interacting, which is what is hard for me on Love is Blind because it's funny. I have been here a few times in the past complaining about how on Love is Blind a couple just talking to each other, and then by the end of the episode they're acting like they're so in love, and it's such a hard concept for me to believe in my mind when watching that play out on Love is Blind. But watching John and Teresa play out, actually getting to interact with each other, I do buy it. I do see their connection. So I like that they feel that genuine connection, that they actually do have some things in common despite their age. I mean, some of it that they have in common is like, okay, because he thought he was going to be a pro baseball player, and it kind of hurt his entire identity when that did not come to fruition. Well, she played softball when she was younger, so that is something that they have in common. Teresa also talked about being married before, being married twice, and that made her emotional. And she talked about having some very rough relationships in the past where she now is just hoping for a genuine connection with someone that's going to treat her right. And John does do a good job of making her feel comfortable, putting her at ease with this interesting concept. And yeah, they really do fit together, and I'm happy for them so far. They were our first couple that we saw kissing. And even though Teresa is the elder here, I don't want to call her an elder, but even though she is, I like that it is John's maturity that really is going to make or break this relationship. And so far, he is doing it right. He talked about how he came into this concept chasing a feeling. And when you have that feeling, when you have that vibe, sometimes it is just physical attraction, but sometimes it is just a little deeper, and it's like a magnetic attraction. And I've only experienced that a couple times in my life, but seeing this play out between them, I do see it between them. They do have a magnetic attraction, and maybe age is just a number with these two. So they both talked about how they both woke up in the middle of the night wondering what is happening right now and realizing that they are really falling for each other. They kissed again, and they were our first couple to go to what they are calling the promise room, where they will tell each other their ages. At the end, we learned that he is 27 years old. He was talking about how she's probably going to be shocked. She probably thinks he's closer in his 30s because he does look like he's a little bit over 30 at least. I think it's the beard. She laughed when she heard his age because she was thinking his mind was going to be blown with her age, and it probably is because she's going to have to reveal she's in her 50s. I think she's in her 50s. So we are going to have at least a 23 to 25-year-old age gap between these two. But I think if that connection is there, and if he stays as mature as he seems, I think they can work out. And that makes me happy. I'm happy for them. Now, some of these other people I'm on the fence about. We have Vanel. I would assume she's somewhere between her early 30s and mid 30s. And she is our love triangle person for the episode. She meets Justin S., who is calm and I think puts her at ease and I think can see her emotional maturity. And we got a backstory for him where he was married before, and he gets really emotional when talking about his marriage. It seemed like, from his perspective, obviously it's an edit and it's his side of the story, he was much more in love with his wife than she was with him. And he feels like he wasted his time putting all that energy into that marriage. And then he came out of that marriage as an older single guy with no kids. And he feels like that's a mark on him in the current dating market. But then we also got the emotion about how he always wanted children when he was younger and now he doesn't have them. And he's starting to get sadder and sadder when he realizes it might not happen for him. And I am a little tired of these baby storylines on Netflix dating shows, but I did feel his emotion. You know, he is an older guy, and if he does want kids, time could be running out for him, and that is sad. And I do like his connection with Vanel. I feel like they actually connect on a emotional level, which if you are looking for something serious on this show is what I think you should be looking for. But Vanel also seems to be attracted to the much older Jorge. I would assume that Justin is in his mid to late 40s. And Vanel's talking about how her father doesn't want her to marry a guy that is over 10 years older than her, even though she likes older guys. And so I don't think that Justin is too much. I don't know how old she is, but I would assume she's around 30, let's say 33. I think he probably is 15 years older than her. I think he is between 45 and 48 would be my guess. Jorge is pushing 60, if not 60. And so Vanilla falling for him too is odd to me because if she's talking about her dad not wanting her to marry someone 10 years older, I think Jorge would be the worst choice. But she has made this a triangle, and I'm not feeling it with her and Jorge. But in the preview, I feel like they made it seem like Vanilla and Jorge are going to be more of a thing, which makes me a little sad for Justin. But it also is kind of a mistake from Vanilla, in my opinion, because it's very surface level with Jorge and Vanilla. You know, their first date, Jorge's already talking about her body. It's kind of weird. And yeah, I don't think it's a good date if you're talking about the woman's ass on the first date. I'm going to say, I don't know if that's a controversial take or not. In today's dating society, it might be, but a lot of people on this show talked about the current hookup society mess that we have going on in the dating world. And so, yeah, I'm going to stick by that opinion. So I think Jorge and Vanel are very surface level, but Vanel did kiss Justin first to see if they are more compatible. He kissed her first, really. And she seemed like she was getting giddy with him. She even said that she was giddy like a schoolgirl with him. So I don't know, maybe Vanel will end up choosing Justin, but the preview made it seem like it's going to be Jorge. Either way, we'll see. We'll see if any of these connections work for Vanel. I'm not convinced yet. One of the other main storylines was Libby and David. Libby is clearly young. I would say Libby, it might be one of the youngest people on the cast. And David is probably pushing 40, if not pushing 45. He is a single dad. He called himself a hot dad. She talked about her love for Taylor Swift, which is why I think she's definitely early to mid 20s at best. I don't know if I loved this connection as much as some of the other ones. David is kind of giving he just wants to hook up with a younger woman on this show. That's kind of the vibe that I got from David, even though he's yapping on about how he's looking for someone that could really truly be in his daughter's life. Is young Libby that person? I don't know if I believe it. So this is kind of why I like the concept though, because even though I feel like I am extremely lax when it comes to age gaps in dating, it depends obviously, but I am pretty lax when it comes to that. I am uneasy about some of the people on this show because, with Love is Blind, we see people come on this show just trying to get famous, not actually there for the concept. David might be one of those people, but frankly, Libby might be one of those people too. Libby might just be coming on this show to try and get famous on social media. That's kind of her age for me. But David also comes off as someone just looking to score. And lastly, one of the other people I do want to talk about is Tristan, who is clearly weird, clearly a freak. Tristan is saying he dates all ages. He made me laugh, but he also made me cringe when he talked about how he saw the Real Housewife of Atlanta star Kim Zolciak in a parking lot when he was 13, and he that's when he found out that he could like older women who are blonde with big tits and whatever. It was cringe, and it just made me think he's a porn addict, and it just made me think he has a fetish for older women. That is how Tristan came off, and that is something else that I think can happen in this concept in both ways. Tristan has a fetish for older women, and he's hitting on Erin, and he's not doing a very good job of it. He's coming on strong. I think her name is Erin. She said that he's reminding her of her nephew because she's pushing 52. So it's a very odd connection there. Tristan also made a remark about how his mom is only 19 years older than him. And when he dates older women, if they're not hotter than his mom or as hot as his mom, he won't marry them. Yeah, Tristan, creepy. Don't love him. But it was a good premiere for this new dating concept. If you take out Nick Viall as a host, who sucks, and if you take out some of the more creepy people, the concept is a lot more fun to watch than Love is Blind, and I will be sticking with the next few episodes that have already dropped and talk about them in the coming days.